Hello everyone, and this is Jess from Kentucky to Tokyo. Hi, how you doing? So yeah, this is the Japan News Roundup. It's 2 days late. If you are new to this channel, hi. Usually this is a Wednesday news roundup thing that I do due to technical difficulties such as, but not limited to, my Wi-Fi going out at my apartment off and on for the past 24 hours, putting me at risk of not putting up my class on yesterday, on Thursday, like I was supposed to, and making me have a mass panic attack while trying to film this yesterday because I thought I have to finish it. I'm a day late, and yeah, it was a spiraling effect. So usually this is Wednesday, but it's going to be on a Friday instead this week, so I can have time to edit and put this out and it not be a mess. I'm a mess, but hopefully the video will be less of a mess, if you get what I go for. Also, you may hear construction in the background and people moving around. I also, before we get started, I want to put up a disclaimer, of which will now be featured on every single one of my videos from this moment forth. These videos have gotten way more views and way more shares than I thought they would. So from now on, I think putting a disclaimer within my videos about, first of all, not being a journalist. I am not qualified. I thought I was going to be a journalist, actually. I studied to be one, but then I didn't become one. But yeah, not a journalist, not an epidemiologist, not a virologist. I am not an expert. Just assume I'm not an expert on anything. I've been a teacher for 8 years. I have an English literature major and a minor in communications. I'm not qualified for much, which is, in the recession, is a great time. But yeah. So I react to news. I try to summarize and give my opinion on news that is going on specifically in Japan. I am based in Tokyo, so a lot of this is Kanto area kind of news that I focus on. But in general right now with the COVID-19 situation, I try to summarize, give my opinions on various things that are kind of involved with that right now. May change in the future. So yeah, just assume I'm not an expert on anything, ever. Thanks. Get a coffee, get some tea, and get ready for some real long talks. Current COVID-19 stats, because apparently, I don't know why, but people like to hear that first thing, so here we go. All right, so confirmed cases, this is the total. Now, now people misunderstood, I think, last time I said it was the total. It's not like the total happening right now. That's not active cases. That is the confirmed number of cases that have been found to have COVID-19 in Japan in total confirmed. Okay, so the confirmed number is 16,364. So it's up by 41 from yesterday. Recovered 12,815 people. So up by 318, which is great numbers. 78% of total cases, which is good. And then deaths, it is 799 right now, plus 5 from yesterday. So it's 4% of total cases here in Japan. Active cases right now are 2,750. That is a negative 282 from this past week. That's 7% are now in critical condition. And then tested, 261,572. So, again, the numbers are kind of low. Hopefully there won't be as much need for testing and stuff, but we'll get into that in a second. Anyway, so good news. Let's talk about good news first. So, good news, we are on a downward trend, which is what we want to see. Also, the cases so far for Tokyo yesterday, I think it was 10? No, 11. It was 11 cases confirmed yesterday. The day before that was 5. So far we've had a pretty good week of staying under 20. So Osaka yesterday was 3, and the day before that was also 3. Kanagawa yesterday was 13, and the day before that was 18. Hokkaido was up by 5. The day before that it was 1. And then Saitama had 1 new case, and then the day before that was 5. Chiba had 3 yesterday. And then the others didn't have any new active cases. So behind Chiba is Hyogo, behind Hyogo is Fukuoka, behind Fukuoka is Aichi, and then it's Kyoto in terms of confirmed active cases ongoing right now. Things to note about this, the downward trend, very good. However, even though 39 prefectures, last week I said 34, 36. I think I made a mistake about 36. It was supposed to be 34, but then it turned out to be 39. So 39 prefectures opened up and are now out of a state of emergency. However, the state of emergency being lifted does not mean things are going to go back to how they were before, according to the Japan government's new lifestyle initiatives, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, still, downward trends are looking good. Tokyo has stayed under 20 for like the past 5 days, which is great. However, Tokyo, Kanagawa, and Chiba and the surrounding areas, we're waiting for the cases to be under 70 for a whole week. And it looks like we're not going to make that this week before we can have the state of emergency lifted. So while the other 39 prefectures have had their state of emergency lifted, and just yesterday, Japan has officially eased the state of emergency also for the Kansai area, so for Osaka, Kyoto, and Hyogo prefectures as well, just yesterday. So what does that mean? It means it's really good that we are on a downward trend and that it seems as if that we are not having any new active cases. That's great. However, don't confuse no new active cases with pandemic is over, because that is just not the case. The pandemic is still ongoing. We still have active cases. Now, the hospitals are going to have less, of an influx coming in. They can handle the patients that they have right now in the hospitals, but we still have active cases. The pandemic is still ongoing. Again. Most of the time, the people who have COVID-19 do not have huge, obvious symptoms. Some people just have a fever. Some people just have a cough. So there could be people who have who are asymptomatic that are around. And so going back to the normal that was 2019 is not something we can do. And it's not something that would be a good idea, because that's how spiking can happen and new clusters can happen. So don't confuse no new cases with pandemic over. These cases being decreased is great. It means that we are flattening that curve, but it's still flattening. It has not been flattened, if that makes sense. We would still need to wait a week or two before we should open things up really and start to finally have the curve flattened, or at least flattening out. So just be aware of that. So if you hear people be like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be like over, no, that's not what's happening. I think most people understand that, but there are a few who are like, let's get things back to normal. We're not gonna have like normal for a while. That's just not happening. Actually, even Shinzo Abe said so when he was talking about the Japan urges new lifestyle for long-term fight against coronavirus. So the new lifestyle initiatives that the government's doing are intended to have like still restrictive measures, even though the state of emergencies are lifted. So there are a lot of different ideas kind of floating around there. I say ideas because like nothing's set in stone, but the idea being that maybe there will be more remote work, maybe there will be 4-day weekdays, or maybe other things. But yeah, the government is talking about, like, they're stressing that there's long-term implications of the coronavirus epidemic, and they're offering specific examples of how they might shape the lives of individuals in the coming weeks, months, and possibly years. So this is from the article that is on Japan Times. The article is in referencing the new lifestyle initiatives, but it doesn't have a link to it. I found the link. The link has also a graph that tells you, like, well, actually it's multiple graphs, but it's on the Japanese governmental website, and it talks about how they are going to need to still keep businesses maybe like on restrictive hours, or they may need to start thinking about like how we're going to do with schools, doing sports events. Actually, the big, huge high school baseball tournament that usually happens every year in Japan, it's a very big deal, canceled, like completely canceled. So things like that, like we're going to have to rethink how we live for at least a year. And the government is talking about it in news releases, and they're talking about how what the new normal is going to be like. So people are advised to still keep wearing masks, stay 2 meters apart, frequently wash their hands with soap, change clothes upon returning home, work remotely, avoid riding public transportation during rush hour. So these are some of the things. However, moving forward, the government is now advising people in Japan to refrain from speaking on public transportation, even to avoid sitting side by side while eating meals, and to exercise at home, among other measures. So, like, don't go to the gym where there are multiple people around who, of course, will be exercising, sweating, putting out air droplets. So things like that. It's going to be a new normal. It's going to be a new lifestyle, and it has to be that way, because until we have a vaccine, until we have herd immunity, this is just how it's going to have to be. And also until we have more testing, not necessarily like COVID-19 testing, like antibody testing. So to find out who has had it, who hasn't had it, and how the population actually has been affected by COVID-19. It's going to be a very long process. It's not going to be short, simple, and sweet. So keeping all that in mind as we're going forward. Now, also, when it comes to things like this, let's go into, once again, the emergency medical services. Got a story, and I kind of was torturing myself over whether or not to share the story, because I don't want people to panic. I don't want people to get scared. However, while we have the good news that there are no new active cases, again, the pandemic is not over, and people are still being rejected from hospitals, and people are still having a hard time getting through the hotline. So a friend shared this story anonymously, so I'm actually not going to put it up on the video. I'm just going to tell the story, summarizing it. So my friend shared the story that a friend of hers had a broken right arm and a left big toe and was hospitalized. However, on the way to the emergency room, when she was in the ambulance, she was fine. She had a temperature of 36.8 degrees Celsius, which is not yet a fever. However, once they arrived at the hospital, a nurse came with a no-contact thermometer, read her head, and then it turned into 37 degrees Celsius. And when that happened, they were forced to get back into the ambulance and to find a new hospital because they feared her having COVID-19, and the doctor said, no, we're not going to let you in because you have a fever. We're sorry. Please go to a different place. So they did. She did end up going to a hospital and getting taken care of. She doesn't have COVID-19, of course, because she has broken things. However, that is something to keep in mind. It is still ongoing. Once again, with emergency rooms and hospitals, they do have the right to say no to you and to let you go on to a different hospital. Again, it's because not all hospitals have epidemiology experience, and not all hospitals have the ICU beds available for COVID-19 patients. Again, this person didn't have it. This person just had a fever. The hospital is being overly cautious and so sent her off. However, keeping all this in mind, I don't want to scare people. I don't want people to get scared about calling 911. If you experience, of course, a broken bone, you will get to a hospital. Just be aware that it may take time. And also be aware that if you are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and you're starting to feel the chest problems that some people have had, the more extreme cases where you could develop pneumonia, and if you're a high-risk person, once you start to have those symptoms, once you're having that fever, call the hotline. I have the hotline link down below. NHK is providing now there's all kinds of hotlines available for people in the Tokyo area. Their hotline is 0120-296-004. That is the one for the Tokyo metropolitan area. And that one has English from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day. And also English, Thai. But some languages are every other day, or some languages are this day. So also keep that in mind. Your language may not always be available to you. However, if you don't live in Tokyo, there are other hotlines you can call for help through NHK's website. I have them down below. Click on that link to find out the information in your local area. Now on to the update on the Shinzo Abe High Prosecutor's Office. Law has been shelved because there was a very vocal rebellion against that idea. Okay, Abe had this plan, right? He was like, okay, we're going to extend retirement so that my guy, who has already been overstaying his welcome, can then go on to become the high prosecutor general guy. So he was planning on putting in this dude who he's allegedly friends with. So he was planning on putting in Hiromu Kurokawa, but the cherry blossom on top of this political sundae was caught in his own scandal, going off to play mahjong instead of staying at home. Gambling is technically kind of sort of illegal in Japan. It's complicated, but it is, but it's not. There are ways to work around it. Otherwise, pachinko parlors wouldn't exist. But technically, it's illegal. So you'd be like, okay, it's kind of illegal, but it's kind of not. So like, he would have to pay a lot of a fine. He would have to pay a fine. But the main reason it's like a scandal is because A, he was already disliked anyway, and then two, like he went to a friend's house to go play mahjong for 2 days. I think it was like May 1st and like May 12th. And then, so after, it was May 1st and May 13th, excuse me. Got that wrong. But yeah, after playing mahjong at an apartment in Tokyo where one of the reporters, a Sankei Shimbun employee, lived, Kurokawa was then sent home by a hired car arranged by the Daily. An Asahi Shimbun employee also participated, according to the report. What? Do you ever like hear something so stupid that you kind of just have to take aback for a second? A guy who's already not well liked by most people, and then he goes and plays mahjong during a state of emergency with reporters. Reporters. Really? Okay, again, I am not a journalist. However, I studied journalism for like I studied like 3 years in high school, and then I studied all 4 years in college because thought I was going to go into journalism or publishing. First thing they teach you about journalism is like nothing is technically off the record. Like, even though you say it like, oh, it's fine, it's off record, that's a lie. That's a lie journalists say. Like, they don't have to do that. Like, they could just take what you say and run with it anyway. They do it all the time. I would not recommend this on multiple levels of this. But then on top of that, like, you really think that like these reporters aren't gonna like take this story and hey, I have this in case we have a slow news day? Really? So I don't understand the logic behind this. I really don't. I have a big bill coming up. You know what I think I'll do? Something illegal with reporters. Another thing to talk about. Foreigners, congratulations. You have an extra 3 months to have an extension to renew your stay due to coronavirus. So if you're on a tourist visa and you're stuck in Japan, guess what? You get an auto 3 months extension on your visa. You will not be considered illegal if you're still in the country because you're stuck because you don't have a plane that you can take to get home. Obviously. However, you should still try to go to the immigration office and still try to get the extension added onto your visa. However, that being said, it's really hard to do that because the line is really, really freaking long at every single immigration center. Go early? Question mark. There's really not much to do about that, but just do your best. So yeah, extra 3 months for everybody though. Anybody with a visa at all, you get an auto 3 months extension. So that's good news. In which case that works for me too, because mine is supposed to expire in June. So that means I could like wait another 3 months to get mine done. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know what to do about that. I'll have to see, but most people are in the same boat as I am. It's like, okay, do I go now? But there's so many tourists who need to like get in line and get their extensions and everything. But I also need to make sure that I get my either 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year visa, depending on if the government will grant me mercy. Now, the last thing to talk about really is the JLPT has been canceled. Yeah, the July JLPT has been canceled. If you are somebody who applied for the JLPT for the first Sunday of July, then you need to go onto your My JLPT on the website, because if you were smart, you did the My JLPT registration so that you can get your results early, and also you can find out about everything like your place that you're supposed to go to do your testing site and etc. all there. You'll find out how to get your refund. If you did, I think some people might have an issue if they paid with the what you call it, the paper form. You might have a problem, but contact the JLPT office. They should help you get a refund for the JLPT test that you were, that you signed up for. So yeah, that's basically everything for today. I'm going to do a different video, I think, though, tomorrow about coronavirus conspiracy theories versus being skeptical and critical analyses and things like that, because it's a whole other video, I feel like. I really want to dive into it, though, because some people have been really, like, let's say shitty on some certain forums that I've seen. So that's it for today. There are other news stories that I wish I could talk about, but if I did, it would just be an hour-long video. So thanks for watching, and tune in next time. It will be Wednesday. It will be a Wednesday. Sorry that this time it's a Friday, but next week it will be back to our regular schedule on Wednesday. Okay, see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, wash your hands, stay healthy. Love you. Bye.